Do you want to create more happiness in your life? Well, I want to talk a little bit about myths. Myths about psychology particularly that hold you back, that really will prevent you, stop you from being happy. Now, we've already looked at one myth. The first myth we looked at was that psychotherapy is really about helping people be happy. And what we saw is that no, it's not. Psychotherapy is about helping you heal from disease, mental illnesses, problems like that, for sure. But it's not designed to help you be happy. We need to do more than just therapy. The second myth that we're going to look at today is we're going to look at drivers. What drives us to our happiness? And the second myth is that our unhappiness is our motivator, is our driver to creating happiness. And we're going to look at how that doesn't work very well. Hey, I'm Brett, licensed psychotherapist and executive director for The Gathering. The Gathering of Good People is a nonprofit. And our nonprofit's all about helping you with your emotional emotional healing by helping you create personal growth. And the way we do that is by creating support groups. Support groups for you, growth groups is what we call them, to help you look for that healing and that growth that you're needing in your life. As we said in the beginning, we're going to work on a second myth today. And the second myth is this myth that we can use our unhappiness, our misery, our pain, and that's a driver for us to become happy. And what I want to say about that is it's true, but it's not true because it doesn't work. Now, let me unpack that a little bit by maybe sharing a little bit of my own personal experiences. You probably, if you've watched any of these videos, you already know I have anxiety. I've been struggling with depression. I understand the ins and outs of mental illness because I treat it as a therapist, but I've also experienced it in my life. And here's the cycle that I get into all too often. I will start to feel anxiety. If you could put it on a scale from 0 to 10, I'll start to feel anxious and I'll start feeling it ramping up, usually about 7. And it moves up to 8, 9, and 10. And what I do when I start to feel really anxious like that is I start to use all my tools, the same tools I teach other people. I start breathing. I start centering myself. I start maybe becoming more mindful, present. I look at my negative thoughts, start rewiring some of my negative thoughts. Maybe I even put in some positive thoughts by creating some positive considerations. There's a myriad of tools that I love to use because I feel like the more tools I have, the better it works. And here's what happens. My anxiety, which is, 7, 8, 9, 10, is off the chart. And I start to use my tools and I bring my anxiety back to 6, 5, and I'm feeling better. And then you know what I do? I probably do what you do. I stop using my tools. I stop meditating. I stop exercising as much. Just all the little tricks that I've been doing to keep myself from being a 10, I stop now doing. Why? Because I don't need to. Because I feel better. Well, the trouble is, I am using my negative feelings as a driver. And when I'm using negative feelings as a driver, I'm super motivated. Negative feelings are actually really good drivers. But once the driver is gone, once the negative feelings have gone, I'm not motivated anymore to keep it up. And so instead of bringing my energy down to a 3 or 2 or 1 and being in a calm place and really rewiring my brain to be more positive, to be more happy, that's not what I do, because that's not what my driver is. My driver isn't happiness, as it should be. That should be my real driver. My driver is unhappiness. And so one of the phrases I love to remind myself is, You can't hate your way into happiness. And what that means is that unhappiness, like self-hate, frustration, disappointment, anxiety, depression, all of those things are leading you in the wrong direction. They're leading you, maybe imagine it leading you east. When you really want to do is you really want to go west. If you're looking for sunsets, heading east is going to stop you from ever seeing the sunsets that you're looking for. And that's what's going on, is that I call it God's dirty trick. God's dirty trick works like this. Bad feelings are good drivers, and good feelings are bad drivers. And what I mean by good and bad, what I mean is in terms of energy, motivation, actual drive, pushing you. Negative feelings are great drivers. Stress, anxiety, fear, hurt, all of those things produce tons of negative energy, right? And that negative energy really motivates you. So they're good drivers, except they tend to propagate themselves. The more I use anxiety or fear or stress to motivate myself, the more my body learns to rely on anxiety, stress, and fear to motivate myself. So I do more of that. But that's what doesn't work, because my ultimate goal is to not be stressed, to not be anxious, to not be afraid. My ultimate goal is to be happy. To do that, what I need to do is I need to focus on positive drivers. I need to focus on love and happiness and joy to be my driver to create more love, happiness, and joy. And that's the trick. That's the myth that we have to get around, is that your drivers are actually going to magnify or increase whatever it is you're driving. And if you're using anxiety and fear to drive you, you're going to only magnify those. But if you can use positive feelings to drive your search and desire for more positive feelings, then you will actually create the more positive feelings that you're looking for. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, it's going to take intention, because all your negative drivers happen pretty automatically. And because they're automatic, you don't have to think about them. But if you want a positive driver to drive you, you got to be intentional. And you got to choose every day to get up and choose to use positive drivers. So that's going to be your homework assignment this week. So I want you to get up, maybe post-it notes or whatever you need to do to remind yourself. But I want you to get up and think about every day, what do I want to use as my driver today? How do I want to drive myself today? And I want you to think about positive feelings, love, joy, happiness, and focus on letting those be your driver. I want to have happiness in my life because I'm driven by happiness, driven by love, driven by relaxation or peace. And that's going to be my driver to create more peace. So give it a try. Again, share your thoughts and comments with me. Like, subscribe. I'd love to see you also at the gathering, thegatheringofgoodpeople.com. I'm Brett, licensed psychotherapist, and stick around because we're going to do our third myth about what it is that's blocking you from psychotherapy, what it is from psychotherapy that's blocking you from being happy.